Welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. We are on part 3 of the grand finale as referenced from Jackson MacKenzie's book, Psychopath Free, Recovering from Emotionally Abusive Relationships with Narcissists, Sociopaths, and Other Toxic People. The last section is, why are they so happy with someone else? And Jackson tells us that this is probably one of the most common questions that survivors ask during the early stages of recovery. After this breakup, this creature that we were dating moves on so quickly to the target that they already had lined up to replace you. On top of the cheating and lying, you're forced to take a front row seat while they begin their perfect life with someone else. If you believe that they're treating the new target better than they treated you, you're not alone. This is how nearly every survivor feels, including the new target when he or she ends up getting replaced down the road. The cluster B creature presents an image of their new relationship that seems flawless, like a fairy tale. Before you know it, they've adopted someone else's dreams, likes, and dislikes. They're both flaunting the new relationship before the entire world, not even a hint of shame or guilt for the fact that you were essentially swapped out in a matter of days. The emotional abuser appears to run happily off into the sunset with this new target, making you wonder if perhaps they're really even capable of love. But there's never a happy ending with these people. They'll gleefully parade their latest victim to the world in order to evoke jealousy and drama, which is already a sign that they haven't magically grown a conscience. As you watch the new relationship unfold, you'll start to notice every little tiny detail about the idealization. Things you always wished for but never received. Perhaps they moved in with the new partner, even though they never wanted to live with you. Maybe they got married really quickly, after months of never quite being able to commit to you. They're probably posting endless pictures on Facebook, whereas you become more of a private aspect of their life. Basically, it feels like you were a bothersome speed bump along the way to their true fantasy. But here's the difficult thing to understand. Someone else was feeling the exact same way at the beginning of your relationship. Every idealization is going to be different, which is why it always seems like the next person is getting something you didn't. Additionally, you're at rock bottom while the new target is on cloud 9, which makes the situation seem even more unfair. The fact that the other person is getting this special treatment isn't an indication that there's anything wrong with you. And it's not the result of your reactions during the abuse or your supposed craziness. Even if you had behaved perfectly, this cluster B creature would have found some reason to abandon and replace you. All this idealization they're doing to someone else serves 2 simple purposes. Number 1 is to groom the new target into a reliable source of supply. And 2, to make you feel jealous and worthless by showering someone else with more love than they ever gave to you. This is why it is important to have no contact with this creature. If you continue to watch the new relationship unfold, you'll only torture yourself with more impossible questions and self-doubt. Every time you look, you'll end up wishing you hadn't. You'll wonder why this new relationship is lasting longer than yours did, if it does. Why they're able to tolerate someone else for so much longer than they did with you. Because all of the triangulation during the abuse, you find yourself constantly comparing yourself with others, feeling inferior and inadequate because they've chosen someone else. Don't waste your life waiting for something bad to happen to the new relationship. Because in the end, it won't make any difference, and we know it's going to happen. It always does. After the initial satisfaction, you'll still be left feeling all the same old horrible emotions because your sense of self-worth was entirely invested in this creature. There is nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing inherently better about the new target. You're two entirely different people who were love-bombed and flattered, but it had absolutely nothing to do with your actual qualities or inner beauty. The idealization was a tool to gain control over you, and that is neither flattering nor validating. Not for you, and not for anybody else. You might start to wonder who's more attractive, more successful, more intelligent, but none of it matters. When a psychopath sets their sights on a new target, that is where all their energy will be focused. Even if you're the sexiest, funniest, smartest person in the world, you will be forgotten and ignored. It's not that you've lost any of these qualities, though, or that someone else has more, better qualities than you do. It simply means that you've run your course in the terms of supplying positive attention. You were starting to question their lies. Stand up for yourself and dig into the truth. Because of that, you were punished. It's okay to wonder why you weren't good enough, or what you could have done differently. It's only human, considering what you're responding to. But the point of Jackson's book is to help you understand that you are good enough, that there was nothing you could have done differently. When it comes to psychopathic relationships, the abusive partner's behavior and choices have nothing to do with your best qualities. If anything, they train you to repress these qualities. Now that you're free, you finally have the opportunity to explore these qualities for yourself and begin to start a healthy new sense of self-respect. But you can only do this when you're not constantly comparing yourself to somebody else. Most survivors feel that they feel physically sick when they check in on their ex's new relationship. Their heart goes into the throat, and they can't even breathe right. Why would you subject yourself to this, is what Jackson asks you. Listen to your body, because it's trying to protect you. It knows that nothing good can come from keeping tabs. If you can, make a no-contact calendar. Encourage yourself to see how long you can make it without checking up on this new relationship. You'll find that the longer you go, the easier it gets, and before long, you might even start to develop a certain kind of sympathy for the new target as you come to understand that this new relationship actually saved you from further abuse. Now, he tells us in most cases, these creatures are obsessed with making sure that they break up with their victims. This is a sign of power and control. But there are occasions when a survivor finally breaks free on their own, leaving this creature and liberating themselves from the abuse. Now, when the psychopath or the sociopath or the monster is the one who's discarded, you should prepare yourself for months, if not years, of stalking, harassment, until they finally find another victim. They will pour all their rage into ruining your life through intimidation and scare tactics. They will invent online personas to cyberstalk your internet activity. This gives them the illusion of control, reassurance that you cannot exist without them. They may even try to win you back. Do not be fooled. This is their final manipulative attempt to turn the tables so that the dumping can occur on their terms. It sounds ridiculous that someone would go through the trouble of courting you just to dump you, but this is how these monsters work. Yes, it is. Survivors often wish their ex would make some form of contact just for proof they haven't been forgotten. But if your ex has moved on, consider yourself lucky. If you need any further confirmation of this, speak to someone who dumped a psychopath. You will hear stories and quickly understand that your ex's silence is a wonderful gift. Strangely enough, the grand finale is also the psychopath's greatest tribute to your strength. It reveals their accidental respect for you. It seems impossible because you're at rock bottom. You never felt so worthless in your life, and this is exactly how the psychopath wants you to feel. So how can this be anything good? There are 4 general cases that result in a grand finale, and in every single one of them, the psychopath is giving you an indirect compliment. Number 1. They found another partner. If the cluster B creature sees their new target as more valuable than you, what exactly does that say? It means that this new victim is more likely to provide them with the unconditional adoration that they crave. It also means you're not doing enough of that. When the psychopath dumps you for another target, they are writing you off as a less useful victim. They see you as less submissive, less controllable, and less vulnerable than their new target. When they dump you and rub the other partner in your face, they're not proving how happy they are. They're trying to erode your self-esteem so that they can convince themselves that you're worse than the new conquest. The only time people need to prove our happiness to others is when they are in fact unhappy. When the psychopath triangulates you posting the new pictures for the world to see, they're not happy. They're miserably and pathetically trying to convince themselves of a lie by manufacturing your downfall. They're complimenting you in their obsession with your failure. Number 2, you caught up with their lies. Did you ever hear this phrase, God, you overanalyze everything? Strange how your supposed overanalyzing was always a result of their cheating, lying, and triangulating. That phrase is the psychopath's way of making you feel crazy for pointing out the truth. When they punish you for pointing out their lies, they're once again complimenting you by trying to destroy your sanity and intuition. They're telling you that these qualities of yours are just too strong. They recognize these traits and try to convince you that they're weaknesses. You shouldn't be spying on me, ensuring that you won't rely on them anymore. If this creature accuses you of overanalyzing everything, it just means that you're a good detective. Good job. Number 3, you're too happy. Psychopaths love to build people up in the idealization phase, but then they resent the happiness and love generated by the partners. Weird, right? It makes no sense. So the psychopath's solution is to harbor this resentment through passive-aggressive abuse. They make you feel unhinged and anxious, shattering all the confidence that they once built up. When they do this, they are flattering you. This means you embodied everything they hate. Love, happiness, and joy. They despise these qualities because they're a reminder of everything they can never feel. Qualities they see as stupid and useless. Your smiles and laughter are a strange, nagging reminder that maybe being human is better than being soulless. To convince themselves otherwise, they may plan the grand finale in order to make a mockery of these characteristics. Number 4, they're bored with your emotions. Psychopaths love the idealization phase because everything is perfect. There are no problems, and they don't have to deal with anyone's dreaded emotions. But after they've tricked somebody into falling in love with them, they suddenly find themselves in a strange predicament. Their victim loves them and wants to foster a greater emotional connection. The psychopath gets bored and uncomfortable with this very quickly. In these cases, the grand finale will often be about the victim being crazy, bipolar, or hysterical. Again, these are all a flattering way of saying, hey, you have a heart. But the psychopath hates things that they do not understand, and so they seek to destroy you. While you were spending so much time trying to repress your emotions in order to be the perfect partner, you were actually doing just fine as a regular person. Emotions are what make you human, and the psychopath got very tired of those human qualities because they're monsters. Everything the psychopath values is the opposite of what you would value. So when they punish you, they're actually giving you a tribute to the things you probably care about most. It's twisted and it's manipulative, because they convince you to doubt your greatest qualities, because they don't have them. But looking back, you can begin to understand how this abuse was a subtle acknowledgement of your own strengths. Granted, you probably don't want to hear any of that right now, but after the grand finale, there's no hope, no humor, no future. You have been deeply wounded by the pain this person inflicted upon you, and it will take years to fully comprehend the extent of the abuse. So turn the page, and we will walk this road together.
Give me a break, as if you think you're so perfect that you've never lied, you've never stolen, you've never cheated anyone. Well, honey, that's your problem.
Well, do you remember when you first moved into your new house? You were so proud to have your own real estate. And I tried to pressure you to let me move into it with you, and you were just too conservative. I recall on one of our first dates, you had told me just how terrified you are of mice. So, one of the first nights you moved in, I had gone to the pet store. I had purchased a little box of white mice. When I knew you were probably asleep, because I'd stolen one of the keys that you made so many extras it was ridiculous, I snuck into your basement and I opened up the little carton, just quickly ran home, and waited until the moment you shrieked, which you did. You ended up calling me, telling me to come over immediately, exactly as I had planned. And of course I showed up and said, little do you know that I grew up with mice. I used to have pet mice, but you didn't need to know that. So,
Oh, please give me a break. Yes, I understood that you were terrified of mice, but that's beside the point. The point was, you should have asked me in that very night to move in with you when I successfully exterminated all of the mice. And did you? No, you ungrateful witch. You still expected me to go home to my own roach motel and did not want to take me in. It's about time you found out.
if you ever call me Bozo the Clown again, you will be punished. Ah.